welcome to your 4 healthy breakfast ideas. So I got a question if I would share some healthy breakfast, and that is exactly what we're doing today. I am starting out with one of my favorites. This is basically what I eat pretty much every morning. I will make sure to have the exact measurements of everything up on the screen for you so you can follow the recipes to a T if you like. But I am just mixing up some oats, cocoa powder, chia seeds, and then now I'm also adding some dried cranberries and frozen blueberries. This is going to be a very nice chocolate overnight oat situation. I usually make it in the morning off, but as long as you let it sit for about an hour before eating it, that's just fine. However, if you have that extra time in your evening to make it, that would be ideal, and also saves you some time in the morning because you just gotta heat it up, or even eat it cold if you like. I personally really like a warm breakfast though. I like to just give it a quick stir before actually putting it into the microwave, and then once it's warm, you're good to go. Super nice, super filling, and honestly, it just kind of tastes like a dessert, which I love. So I hope you enjoy this chocolate overnight oat situation. Alright, let's keep going with the oats. This is my apple pie oat. I guess that's the best way to describe it. We are making some oatmeal, which basically just tastes like an apple pie dessert. Again, dessert kind of breakfast, very nice. I'll also have 2 savory ones later in this video. So we are mixing for this oats, ground flaxseed, and then some dried cranberries. I use sweetened cranberries. You could use unsweetened, but that's personal preference. Then I'm using Specula's spice mix, which I make myself. You could use any like cookie kind of spice mix. Gingerbread spice would work here as well. And I'm adding some extra cinnamon because I love cinnamon. You could absolutely also do this with just cinnamon. I have done that before. This actually used to be my breakfast before I went to the chocolate version. So I am loving this with apple because it's kind of making this apple oatmeal. But you can also have this with banana, which is also very good. Also the chocolate version, very nice with banana. I've also made this with peaches before, which is also very nice. So really you can kind of play around with the fruit that you are using for this oatmeal as your topping basically. I'm adding in a whole apple. I think this is specifically a pink lady apple, which I do really like. But you can do more or less if you like. Alright, let's move on to the savory breakfast. This is something that I have shared before on the channel as well. We are making this gooey tomato spread, I guess. That's the best way I can describe this. We are adding in some celery and then 2 tomatoes. If you're using very big tomatoes, 1 is enough. You can also use more celery if you like more of a crunch and a bite into your tomato thing. And we are just heating that with a little bit of olive oil over the stove. You can make this as soft or as not soft as you like. Like the longer you let it cook, the softer everything gets. I'm just adding in some salt and pepper here. Again, do this to taste however much you like in here. And then we're just going to let that simmer for a little while. I personally really like to add some nutmeg. It just gives a really nice warm flavor, which I very much enjoy. Also, options here are to use garlic or onion powder if you like. I've done that before as well. And I'm adding in some ground flaxseed again to help thicken everything up a little bit, and it's also just really good for you, so bonus there. You can use any bread you like. This was some sort of very seed-heavy baguette-like bread. I really like breads like this. I would also highly recommend any sourdough. I love sourdough, and it's also a more healthy option when it does come to eating bread. But you could put this on basically any bread like. So as for toppings for this, you don't need anything really. It's gonna be great like this. However, if you'd like to add something more, I can highly recommend having some pumpkin seeds on top. They just add a nice little crunch. You can definitely roast these before. I'm just gonna make them even better. I just don't feel like doing that right now. And then something else that would be really good with this is adding some sprouts. So just whatever you have. This is alfalfa. I actually should start growing this myself again. I used to do that. I'm just adding some on. So that is this breakfast, and it's great. I love this. I don't make this very often because it's a bit more work than the other ones, but it's very good. So okay, last breakfast. This is the only one that is not vegan or are vegetarian. I am vegetarian. So we are just going to boil an egg. Personally, I like my eggs to be hard boiled. I know I am one of the few in my surroundings that does like that, but I'm actually not sure if I added chives or parsley here. Anyway, I should like it. Again, I like more of a brown bread with a lot of seeds on it. Those are my favorites, but whatever bread works for you. We are just going to quickly, I'm not sure what to call that in English, like rinse the egg with cold water so it's easier to peel. And then we're spreading some hummus on our breads. I've toasted my bread. You can also just use fresh bread, whatever you like. I'm using half an egg for each half of the breads, kind of slicing that in small pieces. Again, do this however you like doing this. If you'd like to keep your egg more whole, feel free to do so. Just adding some pepper, and then I'm adding some dried chives, which I really like. Chives and also parsley, very good. Love this, so good, very nice and filling. So I hope this helped, and I hope you'll enjoy these breakfasts.